Hi, everyone. Thank you for subscribing to World Briefing. Today is Saturday, and that can only mean one thing. This is your day, dear paid subscribers, for your exclusive weekly video from me. Expect me to be doing more of these per week as we head into the months of spring. Hard to believe it's already almost the end of March, but here we are, and already into pretty much the second month of the war in the Middle East. But before I get to that, I just wanted to highlight one of the stories that personally impacted me that we covered very, very prominently in World Briefing, and for good reason, earlier this week. And that was the decision by a court in California to a judgment against Facebook and YouTube, $6 million in all, against Meta and Google LLC. And the big thing here is, of course, that it could be the crack in the dam of many, many more suits that, if you take into account the per user kind of penalty that juries are awarding, could add up to 40 billion in potential claims for these social media companies. But this one here was a jury on Wednesday ordered Meta and Google to pay $6 million to a 20-year-old woman who alleged that she was addicted to Instagram and YouTube as a child. The jury of 7 and women and 5 men found the companies liable for product design features that harmed the plaintiff's mental health. Now, in the run-up to writing my book, Digital Pandemic, I did a lot of research into social media and smartphone addiction. I interviewed a lot of experts, but one of the former tech guys that I interviewed was someone who actually designed software to get you hooked, you and me hooked. And he told me that, yep, the software was deliberately designed to keep you in that infinite scroll, to time alerts that they hit you at the most kind of sensitive time, that keep you stuck to the screen of your computer or a smartphone. But the article, the news piece, really did make me happy, because finally the tech platforms are being held to account. They're denying that they deliberately do this, but you can bet your last dollar that they do. And I can tell you that one of the visits I made for the book was to a tech addiction treatment center outside Seattle. And these are teenagers who were basically kicked out of their homes. Their parents said, "Okay, if you don't go get treatment, if you don't get out of the bedroom and stop playing games or being glued to your screen, you're out on the street." So they paid pretty big bucks to send their kids for many, many weeks to this center. It's a cold turkey type of thing. They take away their technology, their smartphones, and they all start over basically. But I remember very distinctly talking to these guys, and they could hardly look you in the eye. They could hardly string a sentence together, and it made me very sad that this is what things have led them to in terms of being socialized or being part of society. So again, let's hope that this kicks a bit of sense into the heads of the tech bros, Mark Zuckerberg and others, because things have gone too far. And finally, on this point, I mean, I've just been to Manila and walking around, a lot of young kids just glued to their screens, walking across the street glued to their screens. I saw more than once groups of kids sitting around a lunch table, presumably to socialize and eat together, but they're all looking at their screens. And you see, not only in the Philippines but elsewhere, parents using this technology as kind of a digital pacifier. They'll go out for dinner or lunch. They'll hand the smartphone or an iPad to their kids, and all through the dinner, the kids are on their devices, not socializing, looking very close up at the screen. I wonder what they're going to turn out to be when they grow up. So there's that one. And of course, the war in the Middle East, as I said, into its second month. And just today, apparent Iran strikes on a U.S. airbase in Saudi Arabia, a sprawling base that has injured service members, some of them seriously, that has damaged these huge refueling tankers that the U.S. military uses to refuel fighter jets midair. And also the Houthi rebels reportedly launching a strike on Israel. So, of course, along with Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthi rebels are a proxy force, if you will, of Iran and well equipped to cause havoc in the region. There is no end in sight to the war. There is no off ramp. It does appear that President Trump went into this either with really bad advice or not listening to any advice or any grown-ups in the room, and it has caused ripple effects, as I've been reporting across Asia, as I've been reporting for the past couple of weeks, especially petrol prices. For certain grades of fuel in the Philippines, the prices have doubled, making it very, very difficult, for example, on Grab drivers or the local version of Uber. Drivers there telling me that they're having to work up to 18 hours a day just to meet their targets, to make ends meet. And unfortunately, the ride-hailing platform, Grab, has not lowered their extortionate 30% take on drivers' income because of this. I think they're going to have to, because how can these guys possibly survive? Like many governments in Asia, the government of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has been caught flat-footed. He called a state of emergency to give the government more control over food distribution, fuel distribution, things like that. I think there's also a provision to limit strikes and protests. But some countries, including where I am right now, Thailand, very, very vulnerable to the closure to so-called unfriendly nations to Iran of the Strait of Hormuz. They don't have huge stocks of oil. They're reluctant on oil coming out of the Middle East, and right now there's a real scramble for supplies. Meanwhile, travelers are having a very, very tough time. If you want to, for example, travel from here in Asia to Europe, good luck, especially if you want to avoid the Gulf. I'm seeing airfares that have doubled, tripled, quadrupled in prices. There's a lot less supply, and hence prices have really gone up, and also airlines have tacked on significant fuel surcharges to tickets, and also good luck finding miles redemption tickets as well. I don't know where things are going to go from here, but I think they're going to get a lot worse before they get better. Meanwhile, also Israel is, an ally of the United States, seems to be in a mind of its own in terms of what it's doing, especially in Lebanon. Threatening to take a huge chunk of Lebanese territory. It has caused many problems around the world, including, for example, the supply and the cost of fertilizer, helium, which is used in medical facilities too. I'm not too confident that this kind of period of reset that Mr. Trump has promised for the Iranians to come to the bargaining table will actually work. It does look like the Americans handed the Iranians a surrender plan. They basically said F you, and they handed in their plan back saying this is what we want. But this is an existential fight for the clerics in power. And again, I don't think Mr. Trump has much of a clue in terms of what he's got himself into, in terms of what he's got the world into. And now with so many U.S. forces amassed in the region, it does look like they will put boots on the ground, at least in the area around the Strait of Hormuz. That could get very, very messy. Now, finally, Ukraine, a lot of the attention has shifted away because of the war in the Middle East, but horrible strikes on Western Ukraine this past week, including the city of Lviv, where I was based for many months at the start of the war, including a strike adjacent to one of the bigger cathedrals next to where I used to live. Horrible strikes right in the heart of their historic district. And it's what I predicted on CNN at the start of the war, that it being Western Ukraine, and Lviv especially, the center of Ukrainian patriotism, the place where a lot of Ukrainian dissidents were born and were raised, and the place where a lot of Ukrainian diaspora, including my parents, traced their roots to. It's a very, very tempting target for Russia, and indeed it happened. But Ukraine is not giving up. In fact, it's sharing its drone strike technology, drone interception technology with Middle Eastern countries, including Saudi Arabia. So it does look like Mr. Zelensky has a lot more cards to play with than before the war started. But as I'm going to be commenting on CNN tomorrow and on the day after, keep your eyes open for that. The spring offensive has started by Russia, and it doesn't look like that war will drag on for a long time as well. Again, thank you for listening to this video. Thank you for subscribing. Do encourage others to subscribe because it does help to power my reporting and commentary mission. It's really, really important that we have the resources to do this kind of independent journalism that allows me to travel, to be on the front lines and bring the developments on the ground to you, but also to connect the geopolitical dots so that you don't have to. Thank you.